Hello, my loves. Welcome back to another video here on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny, and I'm so happy to have you back for another video. So today, I have been promising to make a video about Cygnus for probably over a year, and I just keep not getting into it. But it's one of those Starseed origins that is kind of like not talked about a lot, and it's one of the first ones that came through for me. And it's like there's some very specific characteristics if you've had a lifetime in Cygnus and kind of like carry that Starseed origins DNA in your soul. And it actually affects like not just your personality, but like your purpose a lot too. And I want to talk all about that. And also like what you can expect if you were to go to Cygnus. What would you see there? What kinds of beings would be there? What kind of energy would be there? And we'll talk all about it. So stick around for a very interesting Starseed origins. Before we jump into that information, please remember to subscribe to this channel. What else do we do here? We like videos, we share videos, we comment on videos. I think sharing them is really powerful so that other people can find them. So please do, if you can only do one of those things, click share. And yeah, let's just jump right in. Okay. So Cygnus. We call it Cygnus, the constellation. I don't have any notes today, so we're just winging this. We call it Cygnus, but they used to call it there's Gus. Back in ancient Egyptian times, Cygnus was called in English, if it was translated, it was called the geese of Ra. So like Ra, the Egyptian god, the geese of Ra is what it used to be called. So because of that, a lot of people feel like that's the origination point of Ra, like that's where Ra came from. Because why else would they call it that? He was on Earth at that time, and most of the astrological information and wisdom was coming from higher dimensional galactic beings that were visiting Earth and helping humans kind of get situated. So it makes sense that he probably comes from there. So let's back to modern day Cygnus. So it's the Swan constellation. That's what you would probably see if you Googled it. But whenever I visit this place, like astrally, what I see is what I would call like wetlands, like a wetland environment, which means, yes, the swan and like the birds, like what Ra would be, avian beings, essentially, including a lot of cranes. So if you have like a special, I don't know why somebody needs to hear this. I just got this weird nudge from spirit. Sorry. This happens. I set up a sacred space, obviously, before doing this video so that I could channel and have it be like really accurate and locked into the highest good for everybody here. And someone needs to hear that that your spirit guide is a crane, right? You see like, or heron, like a blue heron or a crane, like that style of bird. The blue heron, the gray heron, or the crane. If that's your spirit guide, then you have had a lifetime in Cygnus, because that is a wetland being. So in Cygnus, anything that you would find here on Earth that would be in a wetland would be there. So cranes, herons, birds, turtles. Oh my God, what are they called? I was going to say gopher. That is not what I'm going for. Otter, otters, beavers, like literally anything that you would see in a wetland. So that style of animal, okay, yes, it's an animal, it's a place for animals, okay, but they are not just animals like what we have here on Earth. The animals that we have here on Earth are a lot smaller, and they're also not in their awareness, they're not in their awakening, or what people call a higher consciousness or a spiritual consciousness, whereas beings in higher dimensional realms are quite self-aware. So we've got this wetland community, but they're all self-aware. They all know that they're in a community, and they all work together to create schools, to create community centers, to babysit for each other, to like, I just saw like in my mind's eye when I said that, a bunch of like bunnies, like truly it's like, yes, they are animals, but they're in their highest conscious state as animals. So it's a physical place. Like we think of Earth as like a physical realm. Yes, it's a physical realm for sure, and it's an animal realm. There's no humanoids there, but they're in their awareness or their awakened state, and they're highly spiritual, highly intelligent beings, and they're also a lot larger than here on Earth. So when I'm saying larger, I want to say like I don't know how big like a blue heron would normally be, but make that like, 5 feet tall, like big, like tall, and swans and stuff like that. Swans are kind of already kind of huge, aren't they? But if you've ever seen one like in real life, they're kind of really scary and intimidating. But so there they would be like 5 feet tall. So they're not humanoid. When some people say avian beings, a lot of the time they mean like partly humanoid. These are like the full animal aspect, but very aware, very much larger, very in their higher consciousness. Okay, so what does this mean for you? Well, the archetype that comes out of Cygnus that is the most common in starseeds is the teacher archetype. So in Cygnus, there's a lot of teachers that come from here. So there is this, oh, I want to tell you about my lifetime. Just popped in. I just seeing a lot of my third eye right now. I want to tell you about my lifetime as a teacher there, but first let me just say, as a community, they have like a lot of them, they really honor the education system that they've created. And so they actually really encourage lifelong students where like school doesn't end if they don't want it to. Like they start school young and then it goes on and on and on and on for them for quite a few years because they think that that's so important. And so they believe strongly in education and the things that they're educating their little children on. And by the way, these are mixed classes. So you're seeing like baby ducks, baby turtles, baby otters, baby, baby whatever, in whatever way that they do it. Do I see like actual like brick buildings for schools? No, not necessarily. They live in a wetland, so they would do whatever makes sense for them in there. Maybe they meet in the forest, maybe they meet in like a thatched roof. Maybe they have built some kind of like thatched roof room or something, but it's definitely more like in nature because they're animals and that's where they're the most comfortable. So we have to take away look at the human aspect of this, but it is a school and there are teachers and they speak on this planet, they speak telepathically. So a lot of the teachers, so say for instance, we have a swan teacher. Okay. We have this teacher that is a swan and maybe he is teaching poetry to some of the teenagers there. He's speaking telepathically to them. And you'll find as you dive more and more into Starseed origins that most higher dimensional beings are not using like a voice box and a tongue. They're using sending information and messages and visions and having conversations through telepathy, which is clairaudience, which is like getting on the same wavelength with someone and having a conversation with them that way. We only have barely an understanding of what that even means on Earth. It's such a powerful thing that they use in the higher realms. Andromedans are telepathic, Greys are telepathic, Pleiadians talk. But that doesn't mean they can't use telepathy, but a lot of these beings just speak telepathically. And that probably makes sense for Cygnus because how are they all going to speak the same language when they all have different like pieces, like beak versus fish versus like they can't speak the same language, but they can when you speak spiritual language together, right? So in these classrooms, these teachers are teaching a lot of what they're teaching these kids, especially in the really, really young ages, is about the multidimensionality and how that is a gift and how that is like this diversity is what makes their world so special. So helping them to not fall into like cliques or like speciesism, which we would call racism, where like the little beaver baby can be best friends with the little duck baby. I know this sounds crazy, but it's true. And like that they can like really honor and respect each other's differences and be interested in learning about each other's cultures. And like it's a very multidimensional, multicultural, multi-species place. And it's really beautiful for that. And that's like its strength, I would say. So many teachers come from Cygnus. I've done readings for people. The example that I used of the swan that was a poetry teacher was actually a real person's lifetime. So I had a lifetime on Cygnus as a duck being. So it was extremely tall, like a size of myself now, like I'm 5'5", so it's probably like around that height. And I was this white feathered duck with these blue eyes and this orange bill. And my name was Risa. And I taught in like, whenever I see visions of this, sometimes I dream about it too. I dream of myself in these like enchanted kind of woods vibes just outside of the wetlands where the woods are. And I see a lot of beings sitting on stumps, like surrounding me, and I'm standing up and I'm teaching about something to more like adults. And they are all varied style of animal beings, and sometimes there's galactic beings visiting or humans visiting, but the ones that live there are the animals. So I have had Risa the duck. That is me. That is, I feel a parallel version of me. I don't feel like it's over, like a lot of our lifetimes are still going. She has shown up in people as other people's spirit guides. She has shown up in other people's readings coming through as spirit guides. She has shown up in other people's dreams where they're telling me like they're dreaming about this being and it's me. And then also I am the teacher archetype, super, super Cygnus energy. I have so many people also tell me that they have dreams about me teaching them. Like all these messages that I get from people saying like, I had a dream last night and you were teaching me, like there was a class of us and you were standing, it was on a spaceship maybe, and I was teaching, or it was in the woods, in the forest, or in some way. I'm always teaching when people like these aren't just dreams. These are, your dreams are actually like your soul's memories of what you were up to that night. So that's truly like in the astral where your soul went, took in a class. No biggie, right? Just astrally going to go grab a class on a spaceship. I need a credit in this or whatever, like just so fun. So I love that. And I love when there's a huge synchronicity where I have a dream about teaching a group, and then I get messages from people saying, I had this weird dream you were like in a classroom, and I was like it's just it's real, like it's so real and it's so cool. So if you have had a Cygnus lifetime, you probably have a wetland animal that means a lot to you. Like for me, I have a lot of meaning from turtles and from probably heron, like the blue heron or the gray heron. I feel like a sense of just awe, absolute awe whenever I see them. I'm sure there's more animals too that I really connect with. Oh, swans. Swans are huge for me. I had a swan themed wedding, like swans all the way. Swans have always been very deeply meaningful to me. So that's one of the signs, obviously. Secondly, I have this really strong teacher archetype, and you don't always know that you have that until you step into your spiritual path. I didn't know that I was a teacher archetype until I started my YouTube channel. So if you've been getting a nudge from spirit that you're supposed to start a podcast or you're supposed to start a YouTube channel, you probably have a teacher archetype that's trying to be activated. And by you just showing up like I'm doing right now, something is going to get activated and sparked for you where you step into that leadership teacher vibe. And that will probably lead to you actually teaching later, like the way that I teach certified courses for people, mentorship, all of that feels like that Cygnus energy being put into my purpose and being brought to life, right? So if you, again, you might not always know that these characteristics are in there until they get activated, but if you've been getting the nudge from your guides that you're meant to have a YouTube channel or you're meant to have a podcast, there's a really good chance you are a teacher archetype. And then if you do that, and then you actually feel like really pushed to teach courses, online courses or in-person courses, certifications, those kinds of things, there's a very high likelihood that you have had a Cygnus lifetime, right? Which means that one of your starseed origins, you definitely have more than one, that one of them is from Cygnus. So let me know in the comments below if this resonates for you, if you feel connected to Ra, if you feel connected to any of the wetland kind of animals, especially the swan, since it's the swan constellation, or the heron. I feel like that's a big one. Cranes, herons, swans, those are all the big ones. Turtles are incredible teachers. Oh my God, they're like these ancient wise souls. Turtles too. And then if you feel like you're meant to be a teacher here, a spiritual teacher and leader of some kind, again, you very well could have like this Cygnus energy. Now, the only way that I would say you can truly confirm that is to go into the Akashic records, though. So again, starseed origins are just past lives, which mean you have more than one. I'm not just that. I've also had a lifetime in Orion. I've also had a lifetime in Andromeda. I've also, I've had lots of different lifetimes. So I have more than one starseed origin. But the ones that are important for this lifetime are the ones that are going to come forward and be activating my soul gifts. So Cygnus is a huge part of my mission because a lot of what I do is this teacher archetype, right? And also your starseed origins come online at special points. Like I felt more of like the spiritual warrior archetype, which is very Orion energy and blue avian energy. And then I feel like I've grown more into like the teacher archetype, which is very like Cygnus energy. And now I'm moving really deeply into like the activator archetype, here to activate people, which for me is very seraphim. I feel like my priestess archetype mixes in with my activator archetype, which is like ancient Egypt. So seraphim, ancient Egypt, Lyran is the way that I do. So I mean, there's archetypes: teacher, healer, channeler, activator, and many, many more. And then under those archetypes fall specific starseed origins. And then whatever your path is made of, the archetypes and the ones that you're supposed to activate and step into and use to help people, those starseed origins come online. And each starseed origin inside of it has soul gifts. So it all is like this. It's just so interesting. It's like the archetype to the starseed origin to the characteristic and the soul gift that then you pull forward and use, right? So it's very layered. It's very beautiful. I just had someone, actually I did a reading today for someone, which sparked this, like, why haven't I done the Cygnus video yet? Let me just look at my notes here. So she was inside of Sovereign Creator Codex with me, which is this incredible starseed mentorship to really uncover what your Star Nations alliance is. What does that mean? So your Star Nations alliance is the higher dimensional group being or council that you are here to be an ambassador of, such as Cygnus, right? That you are here to anchor in the frequency of and use that archetype and that soul gift to be of service. So for me, Cygnus has been a huge part of my journey. And for her, it was coming through as being a huge part of her journey. She was supposed to create this podcast that was going to lead to her writing a book. And then the podcast and the book were going to lead to like a really powerful mentorship. And all of this was Cygnus energy, but she was here to be a leader inside of the spiritual mama field. Like spiritual mama bears don't have like enough representation, especially representation that's relatable. You know, we've got like a lot of like crazy spiritual mama perfectionists that are just like a walking Instagram highlight reel, which is not relatable. And so she was here to be this like more relatable, grounded leader of light and teacher for those. And her Cygnus starseed origin was showing me it was ready to be activated. And the way that it was supposed to start, you always get, when you work with me, step 1, step 2, step 3. I'm not just going to tell you all this crazy information, not tell you how to get to it. Her step 1 was a podcast. So we got the name of the podcast, the platform, what to start talking about, the episode ideas, and all of that was the door opening to her own Cygnus energy. And I said to her in that session, oh, this reminds me so much of my own journey, because I remember getting the nudge for like an entire year. I'm supposed to start a YouTube channel. I'm supposed to start a YouTube channel. And I just kept pushing it away because I was so afraid, right? Because everyone's so afraid, especially at the beginning of your spiritual journey, to be seen. I'm like, oh my God, but what do I have to say? And that was the beginning of everything for me. So don't ignore those soul nudges, because they can be doorways to so much more. It's changed my whole life. Look at, oh my God. So Cygnus, we've got the teacher archetype. We've got the wetlands environment. The frequency of Cygnus is around 6th, 7th dimensional. I mean, it really depends on the soul, because you can have, like on Earth, we have like maybe some 2D people, 3D, 4D, 5D, and a little bit of 6D coming in. So you've got like a good range of energies on one planet. It's the same thing with Cygnus or anywhere. You're going to have a range because it's about the soul. But I would say it feels pretty 6th, 7th for me. But of course, it can be a little higher than that. And yeah. And like and so that's for people that are that teacher archetype that are here to teach. And they're also like those particular Cygnus beings, like I said, what they teach their young ones is that they really honor diversity, multidimensionality, and they're really focused on like honoring that to the point of unity consciousness. So honoring our differences, but seeing where the sames, and seeing everybody through that lens of that unity consciousness or that Christ consciousness. And so that's perfect energy for Earth right now, right? Like the Cygnus, I feel like more and more people are getting interested and asking about this, and more readings where this kind of, we used to be a little bit more rare, Starseed origin is really popping up a lot. So let me know if any of those signs are you. Do you have the spirit guide or the totem of the swan, the heron, the crane, the turtle, or any other wetland being that maybe an owl? That's a big one. And owls are absolutely teachers. They're so wise. Owls. Okay, so I didn't miss that. And then, do you feel like you're here to have a podcast, a YouTube channel, write a book, teach courses? All that is Cygnus vibe. Do you feel a connection to Ra, just because there's a real ancient prophecy about Cygnus being called the geese of Ra? That's got to mean something, right? I personally have all of the signs of this. Everything I've just said is I have a super strong connection to Ra and Egypt, the teacher, the turtles, the swans, the herons. Like, yes, 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 yes. The unity consciousness, here to teach, here to lead. I think if it's you, you'll know. But if you want to be sure, I want to recommend you come into a space with me. I can't recommend the Sovereign Creator Codex enough. I literally cannot recommend enough. It's the most powerful thing ever in my offer suite. And we will, just like I was telling you with this client, where we're downloading their Star Nations Alliance, what you're here to do, your mission, break it into steps. It's so powerful. But if you're not ready for that level yet, then you could also just book an Akashic Records reading, which is, I think on my website, I just call it Starseed Origins or Past Parallel Lives. But basically, you're going to get your Starseed Origins, and you can ask about Cygnus for sure. Okay, I'll leave it there. I don't want this to be too long. I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you have any questions about Cygnus, drop them into the comment section. And also, if you are kind of like hoeing and humming on the fence a little bit about Sovereign Creator Codex and you're not sure if it's for you, come over to Instagram where we can actually chat. Just hop into my DMs and let me know what's up, and I will let you know, like, if I feel like that it would be beneficial to you, or if there's something maybe before that, or maybe you're beyond that, whatever. I'll just be tuning into like what's a perfect next best step for you. Okay, always you can come over and have a conversation with me on Instagram. I tend to get a lot of people in there asking about what's the best way to work with you that makes sense for me, as you know, my story, my journey. And so I'm happy to tune into that for you. Okay, awesome, you guys. Love you so much. Before you go, please remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. I love you, beautiful Starseeds. Have a great Sunday. Bye.